Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for tuning back in. I hope y'all are having a great weekend so far. So today's video is going to be a little bit different, I'll say, just because it's mostly going to be a discussion, informational type video while I'm wandering aimlessly through the woods. Anyways, welcome back. So I kind of got thrown off my my normal every other week rhythm just because of everything that's been going on. But first off, I want to say I really appreciate all the well wishes and kind messages and comments I've received. Just to make it 100% clear, health-wise, physically, I'm 100% fine. It could have been a lot worse. The van, of course, is pretty damaged. I'm pretty sure it's going to be totaled. My motorcycle actually fared better than I thought it would. The trailer did a complete roll, but the motorcycle really just has cosmetic damage. The mirrors, the center rack, stuff like that, just kind of around the bike that I'll have to replace. But mechanically, it's actually rock solid. And basically the gist of what happened is I was going about 55 miles per hour down this highway and I had no stop signs or anything. And this truck came in from a side road and basically just plowed right into me. They had a stop sign, I didn't. I tried to swerve at the last second, but especially driving a big vehicle like this, it was just no use trying to get out of the way. And I jammed on the brakes and the trailer rolled. Vehicle-wise, I have an interesting announcement that'll be pretty cool later on in the video, so be sure you stick around. But basically, I was heading westbound on Highway 138 in Southern California, kind of near Lancaster, when the crash happened. I was actually like 5 minutes away from where I was going to start filming the final segment of last week's video at Tahoe Ranch. My intent was to go into that big hangar and film inside and document what I could find in there and some of the support buildings too. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, obviously, and I had to upload an earlier draft of the video that didn't have that in it. But basically, the video that I did publish ended up actually being kind of one of the weirder ones behind the scenes. So for those of you who watch my channel for the UFO adjacent content, you'll want to definitely stick around because I've got some interesting, call it speculation for now. But basically, you know, I was familiar with a lot of the weirdness around the Tahoe Ranch RCS site. Just from the research that I'd done. But it's kind of hard to know when you're reading about stuff, what's true, what's not. Obviously, there's a lot of stories out there about that place having underground tunnels. You know, you got claims of tunnel systems that go all the way out to Edwards or even Area 51, stuff like that. Basically, when I read stuff like that on the internet, I kind of file it away in the back of my mind. But in the absence of direct firsthand evidence, I don't necessarily repeat it as gospel. So something that I'm aware of and I read, but I take it with a grain of salt. So after I published this video, I got a number of folks reaching out to me who have had a direct experience or direct contact with the Tahoe Ranch RCS site over the years. And this kind of varied from, you know, sort of run-of-the-mill contract stuff, people who've dealt directly with the RCS testing component of the facility. And I've also had a few messages from people who might be involved a little bit more in the clandestine operations side. And I won't be revealing any names or personal details at the request of the individuals who've reached out to me. So you could definitely, like I said, call this speculation or hearsay because I don't have any direct proof of what I'm about to say, but I can verify that the individuals who've reached out to me are who they say they are. And they're not just random crazy people emailing me, because believe me, I do get a lot of that. So basically what I've been led to believe is that there are still operations going on in the underground portion of the Tahoe Ranch facility. Now this is extremely clandestine stuff, nothing that you'll see from the surface except on a handful of occasions throughout the year when they may run operations on the surface. But outside of that, they basically let the buildings get dilapidated and keep them looking abandoned, kind of as cover for what's going on beneath the surface. So I can't get into the details of what these operations might be. Again, just because the individuals who reached out to me, they've done so from the perspective of their involvement with it. So I don't want to get too specific, but I will say that it is directly related to those reports of interesting aircraft flying over the facility that I mentioned in my last video, like the JPL employees who saw the orbs and stuff like that. So because of the revelation that there is still potentially monitoring going on at the Tahoe Ranch facility, I'm actually not going to be, you know, just waltzing right into the hangars, at least not for now, just because I don't want to end up doing something that'll put my safety in jeopardy or potentially put the channel in jeopardy. Because if I film something that they really don't want me to, you know, I have a feeling they'll find a way to nuke my channel. And I don't think any of us want that. So I'm going to play it a little bit more cautious now. What I am going to do is I'm going to start a little bit longer project about this facility as far as trying to document it. So what I'm going to try and do is stay on public land, not trespass, but get some equipment out there and potentially see if I can film one of these operations when they happen. So I'll be able to verify one way or another whether or not these claims are true, and I will deliver you the honest facts as best I can. On that note, if any more of you out there have experience with the Tahoe Ranch facility, whether it's more mundane stuff, whether it's the clandestine activity that I'm talking about, reach out to me via email or Instagram message. And as I've done in this video, I will keep your name and information completely private. But I would love to hear if you have any perspectives. Does what I'm saying ring true to you? Does it sound completely crazy? Let me know, because I really want to hear, like I said, just different perspectives. So while we're on the subject, I want to break down a couple of other interesting things that I didn't quite get to in my last video about this facility and some weirdness that was surrounding the initial construction of it. Some of this information comes from Tom Mahood's writings on otherhand.org, and some comes from my own research into the property records from the Kern County Assessor's Office website. So first off, the facility's origins and paper trail of its construction are strangely a little murky, especially when compared to other RCS ranges in the valley like Hellendale or the former McDonnell Douglas site, which are pretty well documented. The official reports published on this property list the fact that the range was constructed in the early 1980s, and they don't get more specific than that, which is kind of strange. It's located in Kern County on land that used to be owned by Tahoe Ranch, which is a massive landowner who basically owns most of the Tehachapi Mountains. At some point, Northrop purchased the parcel from them, and they owned it outright up until very recently. At one point, staff at the Kern County Assessor's Office were asked if they had any knowledge of the facility, to which they stated that they were not allowed to set foot on it. One of them even attempted to visit the site, but was stopped by armed guards. The assessor's office staff came under the impression that what sat on the land was in fact a secret government installation. Even the Kern County Fire Department, which normally would have jurisdiction to conduct fire inspections on the property, were told it was classified and they were denied access. All inspections of the property were carried out by the federal government. When I looked at the Kern County Assessor's Office website, the property records said that the buildings were constructed in 2007, despite the fact that they were clearly much older than that. As I said in the last video, the facility was reportedly mothballed in 2011 due to interference from the nearby solar and wind farms. I heard from multiple sources that the facility did not actually completely close then, and even ignoring the reports of clandestine subterranean facilities, there were reports that a small team of Northrop Grumman employees were still stationed on the site. For what purpose, I'm not sure. So when I was researching this property, I really wanted to find out what the current status of it was as far as who the owner was on the books with Kern County. It turns out it wasn't Northrop Grumman. It was a company called EDF Renewables that had allegedly bought it to use the property for part of the wind farm that they had in the area. So the name of this project was called the Keyhole Wind Farm, I believe. And basically I looked up the plans on the county website, and they had wind turbines scheduled to be built all throughout this property. And supposedly, I guess they would use the hangars and stuff as support buildings or maintenance buildings for the wind turbines. But this is, what I'm about to say is completely speculation, but if what I've been told behind the scenes is true, potentially that was all sort of a cover for, again, the clandestine operations that are being run out of this facility. So it is interesting. I did reach out to EDF Renewables to see if I could potentially get permission. They actually pointed me towards another company that they said they sold the property to. I couldn't find a record on the county website of this sale, so it is already kind of looking a little bit fishy in my opinion. Again, I hadn't heard back from this second company as far as getting permission, and from the sound of it, I don't think I will if what I've been told is true. So just wanted to kind of update you guys on that as well. So now that the van is no more, obviously I've had to start thinking about what I want to do as far as a new mobile office and film studio and adventure vehicle. And it's really funny because about a week or so before the accident happened, I was browsing Facebook Marketplace and I stumbled across this that I'm about to show you, and you'll see why in a second. But as soon as I saw it, I knew it was almost 100% perfect and I had to have it. So originally this wasn't going to replace the RV. It was going to be kind of more of a long-term project vehicle, and I was going to maybe drive it out to a lot that I buy in the future and kind of use it as a cabin or something like that. But with the circumstances having changed, I'm gonna start using this as my my next adventure vehicle. So without further ado, take a look. This is my new Bluebird TC2000 white bus. Very reminiscent, obviously, of the good old Area 51 employee bus. It is a few feet shorter, so we can go ahead and call it the Area 51 short bus, if you will. In reality, I haven't settled on a name quite yet, but I'll let you know when I do. I'm gonna make a few modifications to the outside, like probably paint over these black stripes and talk to some local shops about getting a trailer hitch put on maybe so I can carry my motorcycle on a hitch carrier. I'm gonna be doing a ton of remodeling inside, so I'm not gonna do a full tour yet. I'll just give you guys a quick sneak peek here. All right, well, I appreciate y'all sticking with me while I continue to get everything sorted out, and I'll be back on my regular upload schedule here pretty soon. I'm planning on having another expedition up on the 19th of this month, and this one's gonna be pretty cool. It's actually gonna be one of the longest and probably most difficult hikes that I've done on this channel so far, and I'm gonna be getting some video footage, hopefully, of a place that, that nobody else has, at least not from this perspective. So stay tuned for that. Until then, I'll see you next time.